Hey everybody, this is Mr. Byrne. Today we're going to talk about some graphing things. Now graphing is one of my favorite things to do in math. I don't know why, I like it. It makes sense to me, and I'm going to do my best to explain all of it to you guys. So what we have here is a coordinate grid. Okay, that's what these are called. And it's broken up. You can see it's broken up by a line this way and a line this way. So to keep things straight, what we did was name these lines, and they have a name that sticks, and that's the same on every coordinate grid. This line right here, that's called the x-axis, and you'll see a lot of times it has an x right over there. That means it's the x-axis. It's the horizontal one. That's how it always is. If this is the x-axis, that means that this one is the y-axis. Again, that's just kind of the way it is. X-axis is horizontal, y-axis is vertical. Sure, they could have probably picked any letters, but that's what whoever made the coordinate grid the first time ever chose. So x-axis this way, y-axis is vertical. All right? Now, when we talk about the coordinate grid as a whole, there are 4 different sections as it's split up by the x-axis and the y-axis. You can see there's a chunk here, chunk here, chunk here, and a chunk here. These numbers go positive this way and positive this way. Now you've been looking at number lines, so just imagine it's like 2 different number lines, right? Here's a number line, positive this way, negative this way, or a number line that goes up and down, positive this way, negative this way. They just put them together and crosses all the lines. So, like you learned, what has to go right in the middle? If there's positive on this side and negative on this side, there's something that has to be right in the middle, and that's 0. So that point right there is 0 for everything, and we call that the origin. So I'm going to write that right here. So if you ever see something that says start at the origin, that's the very, very, very middle, okay? That means it's 0. So again, we've split these up into 4 chunks. You may have seen in 5th grade or before this chunk right here, the positives. Just positives on the x-axis, just positives on the y-axis. So what we call that is quadrant number 1. So that's going to be quadrant. I'll write that out so you know what word I'm saying here. Quadrant. And when you write it, you use Roman numerals. So there's a Roman numeral 1. When you're labeling these, it goes quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Now, we actually go backwards over to this side. And a lot of people always ask me why. And I know you're going to ask your teacher why. So I'll just tell you now, my best guess as to why, maybe your teacher knows better, but it's because this is both on the positive side. So positive here, they stuck with the positive idea of up top. So we're going quadrant 2 here. And then we go quadrant 3 down here. And then over here is quadrant number 4. Okay? So if you have a coordinate grid, these are the things you need to know about it. You need to know that the origin is right in the middle. You need to know that the x-axis runs this way, horizontal, and the y-axis runs vertical. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So if you know you have a point that's in quadrant 1, it's going to be somewhere up on this side, okay? So we're going to go ahead and try to put some points onto a coordinate grid and see what that looks like. So I'm going to get my new coordinate grid here. Let me get a pen. Okay, so let's say we have a point that's right here. Make sure you can see that, yeah. Now, when you label that point, if you wanted somebody else to be able to find that point, and reasons you might do that, I mean, you'll see coordinate grids on maps. They're labeled a little bit different, but people can use these coordinates to find specific things, kind of like what you just did with your treasure map on that problem. You need to be able to tell them how far to go right, left, up, or down. And the way we're going to do that is by using these numbers here, just like we would a number line. So if I asked you, okay, on this number line, what number is this dot at? You could all tell me that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over, right? Now the problem is we need to go up as well. And how far is it up? It's 1, 2, 3, 4 up. All right? What I want you to notice before I go any further is that I'm counting the skips that I do. Sometimes people count the boxes, sometimes people count the lines, and they get mixed up on it. So what I do is start at the origin, and I count every time I skip over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over, and 1, 2, 3, 4 up. The last thing I want to say about that is that you always go X over and then Y up or down. X over, Y up or down. X is first in the alphabet, Y comes second. That's how I remember it. So you always look at the X first and then the Y, or else you could get a totally different number, and I'll show you that here in a second. So if we're looking at this number right here, I need to tell somebody how to get to that. Here's how you're going to write that. You're going to use a parentheses, and you're going to write your first number, your X number, which was 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to put a comma, and you're going to write your second number. Okay? So whenever you write a coordinate, it's called a ordered pair, or an ordered pair. Okay? Whenever you write where your point is, it's called an ordered pair. And it looks like this every time. It's X, comma, Y. So notice I put my X number first, 6. That's how far over it was. And I put my Y number second, 4. If I mix those up, if I put 4 first by accident, I would end up 4 and 6. And that's a whole different point. So you got to make sure you put the X first. Okay? So I'm going to show you another one here. Let's go to quadrant 3 over here. Let's go to this one right here. So if you're going this way, we're doing X first again. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So let me get my ordered pair here. So 7 over on the negative side. So it's negative 7. And then we're going down. 1, 2. So it's negative 2. So notice my number up here is a positive number and a positive number. My number down here is a negative number and a negative number. You get into the other quadrants, you're going to have different variations of that. So again, let's go, let's do one way down here. Okay, there's my parentheses, comma, parentheses. I know that's going to be my X number, and that's going to be my Y number. So my X number, I'm going to go over. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. Okay, so it's positive 6 over. And then I'm going to go down, so I know it's a negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, negative 10 down, right? And if you look at those numbers, you should be able to find a dot. So what we're going to ask you to do today and tomorrow is look for these ordered pairs, name your points, or go find one. So last example here, let's do green. Let's say I have a dot that's right here. Oh, sorry, that's not what I was going for. Let's say I have an ordered pair that says negative 2, negative 3, okay? Negative 2, negative 3. So think about that for a second. Which quadrant is that going to be in? If it says negative 2 and negative 3, well, I know that it's going to be negative on the x-axis and negative on the y-axis, so it's going to end up down here in quadrant 3, okay? So let me count over too. So I'm going to start with my x, and I'm going to go 1, 2 over, and then I'm going to go y, 1, 2, 3. And that's my point right there. And sometimes you'll see people say, okay, like that's point A, and then I'll label it point A just like that. That way you don't have to write these ordered pairs everywhere, okay? So just to recap, you have your coordinate grid. You have your origin right in the middle, x-axis, y-axis, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is called an ordered pair. And in the ordered pair, the x always goes before the y. Okay, now we're going to ask you to practice some of that. We're going to ask you to find some things on a map, and you're going to have to write some ordered pairs. So good luck. Ask your teacher if you need help, and we'll have plenty of practice for this week. All right, see ya.